Ал құрметті 12-ші Астана экономик форумның қатысушылары және Nur-Sultan қаласының қонақтары, сіздерді бүгін жасыл өсім үшін инновациялық экожүйелерді құру, ғылым, білім және технология атты сессияның басталуына қош келіпсіз.
Good afternoon, dear participants. Let's start our session. I will be moderating the sessions, and my name is Ruslan Rakambay. And our session will consist of 3 parts, and the first speaker will be Assistant of the Prime Minister, Gulshara Abdikalikova.
Қатысушылар, қанымдар мен мырзалар, 12-ші Астана экономикалық форумы аясында өтіп жатқан жасыл дамудың инновациялық экожүйелерін құру, ғылым, білім және технологиялар атты панельдік сессияға қош келдіңіздер. Еліміздің елордасында Қазақстан Республикасының тұңғыш президенті, елбасы Nur-Sultan Назарбаевтың бастамасымен бұл форум қазіргі таңда дәстүрлі сипатқа ие болды. Уважаемые участники форума, тема сегодняшней панельной сессии актуальна для всего мира, так как динамично растет производство, бурно развивается индустрия, вследствие чего стремительно нарушается экобаланс в природе. Ухудшение экологии за последние...
Deterioration of environmental circumstances during recent years have necessitated to create and develop measures on sustainable green development and to promote developing countries to green economy development. Kazakhstan has also adopted its program, and the first thing to improve the well-being of population, to conserve and improve the state of natural resources, and thirdly, strengthening of the measures to protect environment. So at all levels, we're trying to implement green technologies, and we have studied technological sectors, and we prepare, trying to make a focus on training people in green technology disciplines. That's why we are to ensure interdisciplinary relations and links in order to pursue that major task to train younger people in the light of green economy, green technologies, and a comprehensive approach shall be applied to modernize existing curricula, to improve competencies of faculty, and developing new training environment to focus on new, better technologies. All those changes in our country imply integration of curricula, existing curricula, with green technologies and green economy disciplines, and green education shall incorporate economic, environmental, and social aspects promoting sustainable development. And in this context, for professional education, it is important to integrate all elements: green campuses, green educational institutions. And nowadays, we are developing the idea of green camps to attract various audiences, following the example following the best examples. And this program such programs are being implemented successfully in USA, UK, Japan, China, Singapore. So those are green campuses. They imply also developing decisions and solutions based on integrated green approaches. Didactic, methodological, and other aspects are being thoroughly studied, and interinstitutional aspects are being explored at the level of different regions, trying to create a comprehensive integral network in order to pursue the green elements in education. Dear colleagues, I would like to wish you fruitful work at this session, every good success, and have good time in our capital, Nur-Sultan. Thank you very much. The next floor is given to the Minister of Education, Ms. Kulyas Shamshiddinova, Minister of Education and Science of the Republic of Kazakhstan. Dear panel session participants, so I'm glad to welcome you at Astana Economic Forum. This forum is not only a site for discussing the most important issues of modern development, but it is also a site for signing agreements and some contracts. And the main topic is inspiring growth, which covers the whole spectrum: regional macroeconomic policy, strengthening of human capital, development of cities and towns in various regions. And this forum provides real opportunity to meet professionals and exchange opinions. And our country is taking comprehensive measures to renew education in order to reach functional skills of our school children. And Immanuel Kant said that we are to teach not just thoughts, but to think, in order to ensure the integration of subjects and disciplines. We are to see the specific tasks in all areas. Green growth and green technologies are now being incorporated into the textbooks and curricula and programs. And in order to enhance the environmental and ecological literacy, certain success has been already achieved in terms of commercialization of science. Scientific projects in green economy and green technologies help already to understand how to increase energy efficiency, giving some specific examples. And oil and gas sector, for example, is one of the sectors which is trying to focus on minimizing harm to environment. In educational programs, energy, heat, agriculture have been selected as the pioneer areas for introducing green technologies and green economy aspects. So curricula are being constantly improved especially on heat energy and agriculture. We understand that in rapidly changing world, we are to update curricula. That's why Astana Economic Forum provides real opportunity to check whether we are on the right way and what we can borrow and adopt from the best international experience for existing and future economy. So good success and just achieve the tasks which you have set for this forum. Thank you very much. The next floor is given to Ms. Nazarbayeva Aliya, who is chairing the Presidium of Association of Environmental Organization of Kazakhstan, and who is public figure of the Republic of Kazakhstan. Dear panel session members, I'm glad to welcome you on behalf of the Presidium of Association of Environmental Organizations of Kazakhstan. And Astana Economic Forum has become one of the largest international sites to discuss key challenges and problems of economy. It is well known that international community pays special attention to issues of sustainable development in order to ensure environmental and climatic stability. At previous forum, when I also made a short speech, I demonstrated interaction of environmental and economic development. And today I would like to focus on environmental education. So experience shows that acquired knowledge, including fundamental, serve as the prerequisite for intensive industrialization. And that's since although the majority of population of the planet is well educated, still environmental situation is not improving. According to international experts at the global level, species of plants and animals are being reduced. There is planet contamination and pollution. I would like to cite words of Eckhart Tolle, who said that pollution of the planet is only external reflection of our internal pollution, and the result that millions of irresponsible people are not concerned with the internal environment. So based on the above said, I would like to say that this shall help us to include environmental component and the initiative which started in 2005, which is education in the interest of sustainable development. The experts made a conclusion that quality education shall include not only basic skills, but also develop general human values alongside the whole life. So under assistance of international and local experts, large-scale research has been conducted in order to study requirements of pedagogical and parents' communities in order to form and develop features of the character features of the future generation. And by the results of such cooperation of the fund and the Ministry of Education and Science, so national stage of international contest, Teacher of the World, was conducted, and it has been conducted by the fund of Varke, and incorporates covers more than 100 countries of the world to search teachers who are able to bring up people with right values. And we understand that new wave of young people shall come to schools in order to become the authors of unique curricula and programs. And this such work is already in the process. For example, under the partnership with international organizations like UNDP, OECD, ministries, and local authorities of all levels, civil sector, a number of activities such as festival together, We Are Brighter Together, which has united about 75,000 people from 12 regions. Ecology Challenge project also has united 82,000 children and parents. International contest Climatic Box has drawn attention of the representatives of 9 countries of the Eastern Europe and Central Asia to jointly work on promotion of eco-project approaches. So I admire energy and creativeness of our young people. They are so active. They are not scared to present their vision in a solution of important issues in area of environmental protection, energy saving, and development of processing sector of Kazakhstan. They are quite confident and bold, expressing their opinions on issues of eco-promotion. And so this year has been declared as a year of young people. And they have, and we can say that such initiatives can be already seen as a base to form environmental outlook and culture. So also within UNDP program on environmental protection, International Labour Organization, employers and trade unions are already jointly implementing the campaign Green Jobs. And I think that fair labor conditions and environmentally safe, which are at the same time environmentally safe, are possible due to joint efforts of the government, employers, labor markets, and also philanthropists. Dear colleagues and participants, we are sure that this forum will become a site of interaction and exchange of practical experience, innovative approaches. So every success, and I wish you fruitful discussions and constructive dialogue.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Mr. Nurlubay Sabit Nurlbaylı, the Vice Minister. Dear Gulshara Naushaevna, dear ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Ministry of Energy, let me welcome the panel session participants. The name panel session shows the relevance and importance of the issue. The concept adopted in 2013 to switch to green economy implies having qualified workers, knowledge and skills in engineering and technical competence. The man-made impact on the environment with the development, with economic development, has revealed the problems in this field. There is a lack of professional skills. Today, the specialists who with the bachelor's degree in environmental science are trained at the basis of the humanities universe. There is a desire on our part so that the universities train the environmental specialists with technical knowledge. We think that to address this issue, we need to work systematically, and we need to take the following measures. Number one, training the sufficient number of environmental professionals and specialists. To fill this gap, we need to increase the number of students at the respective faculties. And for all engineering and technical students, the significant attention should be paid to environmental protection. In most OECD countries, this is already being implemented. Because the Kazakhstan economy consumes a significant amount of natural resources, this solution is more important for our country than for others. Also, to enhance the level of faculty staff members, we propose the foreign exchange. In this sense, we propose to invite practitioners with real experience, and this will help us to improve the quality of student studying the environmental in our universities. The Ministry of Education and Science is doing significant work, especially with the appointment of Kulyashna Nogataevna as a minister. We feel the new breath in the education system. At the same time, we would like to embed comprehensively the environmental issues in the curriculum of educational institution. This will help to teach the young generation to efficient consumption and careful consumption. Using green technology is a global trend which identifies the sustainable development of cities, countries, and entire planet as a whole. And it's clearly exemplified by the Expo Fair, which was held in 2017 with its main theme, the future of energy. Based on the green technology, we move to resource saving and environmentally friendly technologies. In order to implement these technologies, we need the specialists and the graduates with relevant educations and experience. We need to retrain and train the existing workforce and the representatives of agriculture sector. And in order to increase the energy efficiency in agriculture, Kazakhstan can consider the development of skills of existing farmers and engineers. We think that the capacity of the Green Technology Center can and should be focused on improving the qualifications of existing specialists working at our domestic companies. For example, the UN Agency for Industrial Development has experience in conducting the training for specialists in order to adopt the new green technology. The International Green Technology Center can regularly provide this kind of training. It is important to say that the new area is science. Decision-making should be based on the scientifically proven decisions and solutions. In this sense, we implement a number of measures, but there's still a lot of room for improvement. We see a number of systemic problems. In most cases now, most of the methodologies used in our country are identical to the Russian ones. There is no opportunity to develop the local Kazakhstan-made methodologies. We have a limited time. 1 minute, I'll finish. And the research institutes do not allow to provide the research in the field of environment. Therefore, we need to implement the national scientific policy and develop a definition. And this, there is an example in Belarus and Russia. As you know, the Ministry of Energy is in the process of developing the new draft of energy code, where we aim to adopt the new best technologies and review the approaches and see the impact on the environment. To achieve this, we need to jointly prepare the new generation of environmental professionals meeting the modern requirements, and we are confident that we will be able to build the reliable foundation for the future green and clean growth, and we must ensure for the next generation. I wish you all the best and good luck. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Or to our next guest, Director General Emeritus of the International Renewable Energy Agency, Mr. Adnan Amin, please.
Your Excellency, Chairperson Aliya Nazarbayeva.
Госпожа Алия Назарбаева, господин вице-министр, дамы и господа, Руслан сказал мне, что у меня есть только 3 минуты для своего доклада. Я сказал, что мой полет занял 5 часов, поэтому у меня должно быть как минимум 5 минут для доклада. Тема нашей сегодняшней сессии и нашего форума крайне важна.
We as a global society are going through. And what we have seen, and this was underscored by all the speakers this morning, is that we are in a historically unprecedented period of rapid and disruptive change across the board. This affects society, it affects economy, and it affects ecology and the environment. It affects society because it changes the nature of social relations, it changes the nature of work, it changes occupational groups in society. All the things that we have taken for granted as a society are changing, and this is evidenced by mega trends such as migration that we are seeing worldwide. Economy is also being disrupted. At the same time, we're developing new technologies that are increasing productivity, that are increasing the sophistication of some of the products we have, but they are causing tremendous hardship in terms of transition. And from my point of view, perhaps the most important is the impact on ecology and the environment. A week ago, we had a UN report by a special panel on biodiversity that talked about an extinction event that could eventually reduce almost 1 million species from the global biodiversity, impoverishing our nature. But perhaps the greatest threat is that of climate change, where we are seeing disruptive patterns of climate change manifesting themselves across the world. I think it is a well-established fact now that we are in the process of rapid climate change, that carbon emissions are at a point that were unprecedented only a few years ago, and we have just reached the benchmark of 415 million parts of carbon in the atmosphere in an unprecedentedly short period of time that is changing everything. So where is the fundamental importance of technology in all of this? And I'll speak from the occupation I had, which is dealing with renewable energy over the last 8 years as the first Director General establishing the International Renewable Energy Agency. And that is that energy provides about 2/3 of carbon emissions that contribute to climate change. If we can change the energy system, we have a realistic chance of remaining within limits of climate change. It's very encouraging what is happening with renewable energy today. We just published our last capacity statistics of new capacity added to the global power system. We had an 8% growth last year, 171 gigawatts were installed. we now have 1/3 of global power capacity, which is renewable. And that has happened only in 6 or 7 years. This is a remarkable technological development, but it's not fast enough, because we believe this needs to be tripled if we are going to have any chance of remaining within the limits of 2 degrees of temperature change. So this means that all the trends that we've seen of cost reduction over the 8 years of my time at IRENA, the cost of solar PV has fallen by 75%, wind by 33%. Hydro and geothermal are the cheapest source of power where the potential exists. We have to take the emergence of new technologies like artificial intelligence, blockchain trading, and big data, and apply them to the new sources of energy and to manage them in a way in our societies that is reliable, that takes us to a path of decarbonization while actually creating value in society and in the economy. And we have a historic opportunity to do that. And I think the importance of this session and the importance of the establishment of the International Green Technology and Investment Center is because this is going directly in this direction. It's about the sustainability not only of Kazakhstan, it's about the sustainability of our globe and about our way of life in the future. So I think that we wish the Green Technology Center all success. Rapil, you've done a great job so far. I'm looking forward to continuing to help you in the future. But let me leave you with a small story which really impressed me, because I moved to Abu Dhabi from New York, and people told me, well, you know, this is a very rich oil country. They don't really care. This is just greenwashing. And I remember a speech that was made by the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, which stayed with me for many years, because he was speaking to his people. He doesn't usually do it in public, but I happened to be in that forum. And he said, as a people, we have to think about the day that we export the last barrel of oil from our country. And that will not be because we don't have oil. That will be because the system of energy in the world has changed and oil is no longer driving energy. And we have to be prepared for that change, and we see that investment taking place in the UAE today. Some of the world record prices in solar are being achieved in the UAE. And I think this is the opportunity also for Kazakhstan. And Madam Nazarbayeva, you have a great challenge, because I think this challenge could be a defining challenge for Kazakhstan. How do we move from a resource economy to a knowledge and technology economy of the future? And that's the challenge that we have. Thank you very much for having me with you.
Разрешите поблагодарить всех.
Let me thank all our speakers, and separately I would like to thank the head of the International Green Technology Center, Mr. Rapil Jashbaev. Let's move to the second part of our session. Dear guests, you can take your seat out of this room and
Take your seats on the panel. Anthony Cox, Fred Walty, Christina Hamerkov, Evgeny Gasho и Craig Smith, please. our guests just housekeeping notes. Due to time constraints, Forum Committee reviewed all the speeches and decided to give a floor for 7-minute speech only for 2 persons. I apologize for that, because we have another session after that session. The first speaker is the President and CEO of Network for Global Innovation, Fred Walty. Please, floor is yours.
Well, I had 18 hours, so I should, get 18 minutes. So I'm an entrepreneur from California. I spent the vast majority of my adult life building companies. I've been leading the Los Angeles effort to build a green economy for the last 6 years. We've built an innovation hub. It's been world-renowned. It's gotten a lot of publicity. It's generated a lot of economic development. But here's what I want to talk about. I think time is of the essence. I think time is, in fact, running out. Now, we have acknowledged that we need to spend a lot of money in R&D, in clean technologies. And as a previous speaker mentioned, the cost of sustainable energy is going way down, so we have large-scale clean technology efforts. What don't we have? We don't have enough effort in speeding technology from the innovation labs into the marketplace. In California, we call that commercialization, and we work with entrepreneurs to do that, and that's what we have to spend more time and effort on here and around the world, is providing the ecosystems and the support systems for entrepreneurs to get them out of the labs in the garages and into the marketplaces globally as fast as we can. If we do that, we have a chance of slowing climate change, and we will build a huge green economy around the world. Thank you. 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And regarding that specific topic, I have a question for Christina Haverkamp. According to your experience, what is the main drivers of successful clean tech ecosystem? Might be education, maturity of the society, or other factors that can affect of creation? Because Kazakhstan is on the way of creating that specific environment here. And according to your experience, what's the main drivers?
Well, thanks a lot, first for organizing this really important panel vis-à-vis the International Green Technology and Investment Center. What are the main drivers? Of course, financing is one. Usually founders don't have the own capital necessary, and financial investors, institutional investors, will not invest in companies that don't have a rating, let alone an investment grade rating. So it is necessary to provide guarantees, to provide loans, to set up venture capital funds. That must not necessarily be the task of the government, but it should be supported by government and have private sector involvement. Then, just as important, educational system, of course, and I think it should be starting in school. It should be communicated at a very early stage of education that you need courage and the will to succeed, and that failure is not a problem, but a new chance to prove yourself right. Then you go into university. In Germany, about half of our founders have a mathematics, information technology, natural science, or technological background. The other half has an entrepreneurial background. They have a degree in management. So what is necessary is to mix the two, to teach aspects of one of these aspects also in the other curricula. But it's also a challenge for the universities to provide support, such as co-working spaces, such as infrastructure, such as advice, very important to students that don't know anything about legal matters, tax matters, how to do public relations, how to test the markets. And last not least, I think that's just as important. What you need are platforms to give startups the possibility to network with one another, to learn from one another, with corporates, to tell them their ideas, to get their support, to learn from their experiences, but also with academia. And this is what DENA, what the German Energy Agency is doing every year with the Startup Energy Transition Award and the Tech Festival. We give globally startups in the energy sector a platform to pitch their ideas, to convince, to meet with investors, and many of them afterwards move on to win new awards, but also to get new financing, to get involved in incubators. This is what visibility gets you to. Thank you.
Thank you. And as far as I know, DENA also has a close relations to the government of Kazakhstan, and you're actually already doing actual steps in realizing some projects in clean tech with Ministry of Energy, writing reports. In this regard, how you see the potential of Kazakhstan to shift from fossil fuel economy to green economy?
I actually believe that Kazakhstan is in a very particular situation because opposed to most other countries in the world, it's not only self-sufficient in terms of fossil fuels, it has abundantly fossil fuels. So the temptation to use these fuels and not turn into a carbon-free society is a very strong one. On the other hand side, it also has the challenge of a rather inefficient building stock, certain efficiency problems in the industry, and there is an intrinsic economic interest in becoming more efficient and maybe also turning, hopefully, also turning in the direction of renewable energies, maybe instead exporting what they have of fossil fuels to other countries with less resources.
Thank you, but my apologies, due to time constraints, I cannot continue that conversation, but I'm really into it. I'm a clean energy freak, let's say. I'm the fan, but there is a time to give a floor to another guest. Please, Anthony Cox, floor is yours, the Deputy Director of Environment Directorate of OECD. Please.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much to the invitation to the OECD to participate today. It reflects the long-standing, strong strategic cooperation between the OECD and Kazakhstan across a range of areas, including around green growth and innovation. It's clear that there are three things that we focus on in terms of strengthening the innovation for green growth. One is, how can Kazakhstan accelerate its construction of a dynamic innovation system? It's got some promising pilot initiatives underway, but scaling that up is going to be a priority. We have noted that the R&D intensity in Kazakhstan has declined in the last 10 years, down to around 0.14% of GDP, well below what the target of 2% that the Kazakh government has set itself. So there needs to be some acceleration there. The second aspect is learning from doing. Kazakhstan is not alone in this challenge. It's not the first country that is confronting the need to build innovation systems to green its economy, to shift away from a fossil fuel dependence to grow renewable energy sectors. Many other OECD countries have gone down this path, and there's a lot of learning from the experiences of other countries that can be gained. For example, my own country, Australia, is a very similar country in terms of its fossil fuel dependence. It is having to confront issues around phasing out coal-fired power stations. There's an opportunity here to learn from experience, and this is what the OECD is trying to inject into the discussion here. And third, going beyond the innovation system, we need the fundamental sound business environment that'll attract investment. So looking towards enhancing the business, the financial markets, building a strong and vibrant investment system in Kazakhstan, making sure that we have the product markets to support that. We have a session tomorrow morning where we are launching our latest indicators of the strength of the product market regulations in Kazakhstan. And that is essential if you're going to attract foreign investment to help drive this. It's great to have the technologies, but you need the finance to scale it up and to drive it forward.
Благодарю вас большое за ваше мнение.
Thank you very much for your opinion. I would like to hear this all happens in the West, all OECD members, as our speaker said, but how accessible technologies are developing in the closer neighboring country. So we have a guest from Russia. And so environmental standards, how they are developed on energy saving. So first of all, I would like Evgeny Gasho, who is representing Research Institute. Yes, thank you very much for invitation. I'm very much impressed by the speed at which and pace at which Astana and now Nur-Sultan is developing. I have visited Expo 2017, and yesterday I again visited it. And thank you for such breakthrough for this symbol. And Orient has been always some hidden source of opportunities and possibilities. And I pay tribute to that. I would like to say that there can't be a miracle overday. And so maybe some sort of compromise has been reached in Russia. So, of course, things differ dramatically in Russia as compared with Australia, China, Canada. So, but some interlinks and some interaction between economic, social policies have been sought in our country. And for 3 years, 51 reference books have been developed on the norms, 35 reference books, manuals on various sectors. And so they set some framework or rules. So 2,700 indicators for such areas as chemistry, less for energy, and nevertheless, for these 3-4 years during which Russia has been doing this work, there is a trend to enhance energy efficiency to reach environmental impact. Even these statistical figures have shown that dirty energy-consuming enterprises cut costs for some percentage. Transparency has been improved, and we are pleased to share our success and experience. Frankly speaking, nobody expected that such progress and such small breakthrough would be achieved in our country. Of course, we are all concerned about instruments, tools of economic impact. We always ask economists, for example, 70–80% is, well, KPI of energy or technological processes. But what about you? Why economic risk management instruments are not working well? So, and this is true not only for CIS countries, but for other countries of the world. Not all mechanisms are working well. If you would search this site of industrial development of Russia, about 1,078 measures have been proposed for enterprises, industrial enterprises in Russia. Bring my apologies. Time limit. Yes, just to conclude, I would like to say green economy is not only no waste, but many speakers have said it is combination of science and staff training. Moscow Energy University has old ties with Almaty Energy Institute. We don't have such charming Minister of Education and Science. We have another minister, another type of minister, and we try and we make a lot of efforts to persuade the ministry to support our projects. So, but still, although the programs are not perfect, they are being implemented, also not at that fast speed, and not half year, but 5 years probably would be required. And I think that jointly with Green Technology Center will be involved to interact in future.
Best available technologies, and all the technologies, there is need to be an environment to an ecosystem that can drive those technologies. And I have a question for Mr. Smith. For the last couple of years, Kazakhstan is focusing on developing those ecosystems. And is there any way to create or clone, you may say, Silicon Valley successful ecosystem elsewhere?
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation to be on this panel and to participate in this outstanding forum. I come from 23 years of experience in Silicon Valley before I moved to Saudi Arabia to work on, let's say, not so clean green initiatives that are happening there, which I'll talk about tomorrow. But speaking about Silicon Valley, the real easy and simple answer is no. And I think I'll give my time to, no, I'm just kidding. The answer is no. But let's look at the drivers that created Silicon Valley. And the elements, the drivers that created Silicon Valley are here in Kazakhstan. Silicon Valley cannot be replicated in Singapore and London and Stockholm and half a dozen other fantastic innovation cities that are emerging or have emerged across the globe. But the drivers are this. Silicon Valley was created initially from government funding to produce circuits and transistors and silicon wafers, so a massive influx of government funding in the 60s and 70s. You have government funding to support an ecosystem here in Kazakhstan, government support and deep concern and roots with government agencies building programs. Great academic institutions in Silicon Valley like you have here in Astana, in Nur-Sultan, in Almaty, and great education and care for the children and secondary schools, high schools that feed those great universities. You have a transparency and ability in Silicon Valley for people to intersect, to share ideas. It happens in coffee shops, it happens in public places, and you have that here. You have that certainly in this city. Perhaps The greatest point, though, is you have, I think you have emerging in the Kazakh mindset the ability to tolerate risk and to accept failure. I'm seeing this through Astana Hub. The organization I work with in Saudi Arabia has a memorandum of understanding with Astana Hub. So we're pleased to see this concept of taking on risk. If it doesn't work, pivot and move to the next dimension and accept a level of failure. And this is one of the strongest components of Silicon Valley, that without this transference, these elements I just described, the ability to take on risk, the ability to be transparent and resilient, have great banking laws, have a good legal structure in place, then you have the components that will create an innovation center. This has been replicated in a lot of cities around the world, and it's being replicated here. So I think stay the course. Now, Silicon Valley is known for IT, for now social media. It wasn't always the case. It was known as a defense center for silicon and circuits. But what would drive Kazakhstan and Nur-Sultan to be the center of the next generation of important factors? We're talking about it right here. Climate change, green and clean technologies, and I think that Kazakhstan can embrace that and make a name globally for itself, and therefore become a replica of the elements of Silicon Valley.
Thank you very much. Again, apologies for fast-tracking the all questions, but thank you very much for all our guests in panel. And we need to move to second panel, and his time is very limited for the second one. Thank you very much. You can take... Sorry? Sorry, really? Wow. Wow, sorry.
Okay. I'm free.
What do you think about Silicon Valley in Kazakhstan? I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. I flew here from Iceland all the way, and to make a comment here, and it was somehow felt not so good to do that. I'm the most privileged energy director in the world, because in Iceland we have 100% renewable energy from hydropower and geothermal, both for electricity and heating. And I also want to mention that, alike with Kazakhstan, we have a very good geothermal resource. We've utilized it for a long time. We have a geothermal training program in Iceland, which is training students not only for technology of geothermal and knowledge, but also for management and financing. And I think that is very important when we look at this. And we have had fellows from 60 countries and 600 fellows totally, which we have educated, and they have been chosen carefully from the industry, which is, I think, is important, that we are educating active people and people that remain active, and those remain active. And now this operation has been so successful that China is going to mirror this operation to support their ambitious plans of introducing geothermal to 26 major cities in China. So I think we have good examples of education and training that works. And I just wanted to mention that, since I have been flying all this way over to come here. Thank you.
I do have a question for you. You're supposed to be on the second panel, actually. Yeah, in education. But as you are here, second part of our session, we decided to discuss the education in green technologies. So you're supposed to be there. But what do you can help us and guide us to the, according to your experience, what the education should play in green technologies and boost the green movement in Kazakhstan? What we should pay attention on?
I think the important thing is to have the basic education is not enough. we have to have education that is targeted towards the goals which we set up for the as I mentioned, for the geothermal here in Iceland, that we have to have targeted education, and we have to take people out of the companies and educate them and be sure that they go back there also with their knowledge, because this is very expensive operation and has to be done in a very effective way.
Okay, thank you. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's move to our next session. We will be discussing the education part, green education there. Разрешите пригласить следующих.
Let me invite our next speakers. Сагинтаева Сауле.
Уважаемые гости,
Dear guests, let's continue and let me give the floor to Saule Sagintaeva, Director of Almaty University of Energy and Communications. Dear colleagues, because I represent the Almaty University of Energy and Communications, and we position ourselves as industrial energy university, so certainly we are directly connected, related to green ecology. In the course of developing of green technology, there is a change in employment sector, there is a need for new professions, and there is a lack for new professions. So our university should be forward-looking, should be proactive to train the specialists for the future. And the green growth is transition to renewables, and we need to understand that in the near future we'll need the relevant workforce. And starting from 2014, we started educating the renewable specialists. Our university is a regional educational center in the field of renewables as part of the Future Energy Project, and we have developed a new project as part of this project. And we understand that the nuclear energy should help to reduce the environmental impact. We prepared a new program on operation of nuclear plants. Nuclear and alternative energy is the new area for our university. As part of the funding that we receive, we have a project to build trackers for solar batteries. And the important scientific result is we have the fully functioning prototype of geothermal installation and the autonomous power supply system for remote industrial plants in any climatic conditions in Kazakhstan. And in the near future, this will allow us to scale up its industrial production. And this discovery is very interesting for the Ministry of Defense of Kazakhstan. And the big contribution to the heating systems of residential and administrative buildings is the new methodical complex for centralized heat supply system. And the energy auditor is the new profession for the future. And this complex operates on the wireless system using the smart system and use it in the smart house. And the key changes in energy sector led us to launch the new program, the intellectual energy systems. among the significant researches we've done in the recent years is the implementation of smart technology and in the single energy system of Kazakhstan. Our students and faculty members developed the digital plan, which was presented to the Vice Prime Minister during his visit to our university. We use the digital technologies in power supply stations, and we have also presented 2 projects that are part of the public program Digital Kazakhstan, which were commissioned as part of the Kigo company's order. And this relates to the anti-emergency automation and to regulate the pressure flows. As part of the smart grid, we have been awarded a grant as part of the World Bank competition to build the consortium for industrial sector. And all these projects, in all these projects, we actively include our students and PhD students. Green technology means moving away from the traditional vehicles using the fuel. And in 2019, our student team, for the first time, took part in the Shell Eco Marathon in Malaysia, where the prototype of the urban car was presented, and this electro car was developed by our university students, and our team was part of the top 30 teams from 18 countries in the world. We also actively cooperate with business in the field of green economy, and with the startup company which collects and disposes the waste in Almaty. In our university, we have organized a separate collection of waste, and we have started the research in using the biotechnologies to produce materials for energy fuels. Sorry, Sovetna, you have 1 minute left. The only thing to measure the commitment of the university is the green method, and we took part in the competition. We were 4th, and concluding my speech, I would like to say that our country faces specific challenges and problems that could be addressed only using the innovation. But innovations should not be invented for the sake of innovation. They should help, and they should be in demand on the market and by the government. But unfortunately, today the universities receive funding only by participating in the competitions. I think that now is time to return to the practice of forming the public order for specific public tests, including the training of targeted specialists. And I think our University of Energy and Communications can become as a sectoral university in the country.
Maria Rebecca Balestra. Well, we are talking about technology, science, startups, ecosystems, etc. But everything will be done by creative people. How we can enable creative thinking in science people that can connect and find that connection between science and art? Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me to these important events, and thank for the question. This morning, during the plenary section, the president of Armenia was talking about visions. And what the Festival for the Earth does is looking for visions for the future. We invited during 2 days creative minds, innovative companies, environmental activists, and scientists to discuss together sustainable, achievable model for sustainable living in our planet. I personally believe that knowledge access and positive information flow are highly important because the environmental emergency urges a radical change of perspective and practices. For this reason, the aim of the festival is to accelerate processes of transition between theory to practice. Is for us very important to spread positive messages with the general public, and also to inform the companies about the opportunities that the environmental crisis are creating. And most of all, we want to develop an environmental culture in future generations. Thanks to several partners like Foscari University of Venice, the Prince Albert II of Monaco Foundation, the IPCC, the Center, the Euro-Mediterranean Center on Climate Change, we want to facilitate a network of opportunities among people who are able to make a difference, and connecting university, researchers, but also activists, artists, and creative minds. I personally believe that we live in a time in which new technology, scientific innovation, and collective consciousness can really offer us an opportunity to rethink the main paradigm of our society. And the Festival for the Earth would like to be a platform where we reimagine those paradigms. I'm very happy to be here to sign this afternoon a memorandum of understanding with the International Green Technology and Investment Center to collaborate and produce cultural exchange between Italy, Principality of Monaco, where I organize my festival, and Kazakhstan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. У меня, как гражданин...
As a Kazakh citizen, I have my own personal interest in preparing the professionals for the green economy, and we have the representative from Nazarbayev University, Mr. Adeside. I would like to ask you what the national universities do in training the professionals for the green economy. Thank you very much, Ruslan. I represent the Green Academy, which took part in developing the concept to transition to green economy. And I should say that this center has been operating for 5 years. We support the Ministry of Energy, and we work closely with the Ministry of National Economy in the field of developing a new legal base. And I would like to say that this is a very important point today, because understanding these targeted indicators and the goals definitely plays a big role. And in this sense, I would like to thank Mr. Cox, who is present with us today, who represents OECD, who provided a substantial assistance to our colleagues from the Statistics Committee for their cooperation in promoting new green indicators. Because today we talk about this. Yes, there is a new concept to move to the green economy. There is a 2050 strategy, but this needs to be understood not only by the government, by the public institutions, but also by the business and NGOs. In this sense, the Green Academy Center proposes its own developments. In particular, we proposed the GTIS, and we proposed the developments in integrating green indicators, which will help us to improve not only the monitoring system, but also to improve the planning system, the strategic planning system. Because today, the public programs should take into account green factors. And in this sense, our small centers provides a methodological assistance, and I would like to pay your attention to the blockchain technology. And I think Mr. Gref has talked about this at the panel session today. You know that the blockchain technology is supported by the 15 UN agencies, and now it is not only utilized in the finance sector, but also in the environmental monitoring. So I think that innovating technologies like green indicators and blockchain is the future. And this is not a task only for the scientists and researchers, but also for decision makers and international organizations. Thank you. Mr. Adesida.
The same question I was asking about what national universities in in Kazakhstan doing in preparing students and staff for green economy.
Thank you very much. At Nazarbayev University, which is only 10 minutes from here, so we have a comprehensive program. I think you have to start training students right from the beginning. So we have a new curriculum where the students come in right from the first year. All students take some common courses, both in sciences, social sciences, and humanities. So even if you're an engineer, you have to take courses in economics, sociology, psychology, business innovation, and ethics. That's common to all students. That's extremely important in terms of training students. And we are also mapping some of our programs, courses, curriculum, to the Sustainable Development Goals right from the beginning, because it's extremely important for students to have that mindset of learning what is going on in the society, learning about innovation, and trying to connect innovation to what they learn in the classroom. So that's extremely important for us in terms of what we're doing. But at the graduate level, we have research, not only in energy, but in the environment. We have a faculty studying the RLC soil, going to Lake Balkhash to look at how water actually evaporates, what causes it. So this is a comprehensive program that we have on the campus. And this is extremely important, as I said before, that you have to look at the whole ecosystem. Because it's not only energy that you need, but also the environment itself, the wastewater management, what is going on with the trees in the environment, how the Green Campus program that we have to make sure that we actually save on energy. So it's a comprehensive environment. So in particular institutions, you cannot only focus on one thing, but making sure that students get a whole panoply of education so that they can be functional in the society.
Thank you. And coming back to Professor Johansson from Iceland, I already asked you a question about education, but I just wanted, there is huge potential and huge experience in geothermal in Iceland. And Kazakhstan also has the regions where we have geothermal resources. And is there any chance to have this collaboration between Kazakh national universities with your organization or with Iceland, and just to shift those knowledge to Kazakhstan, to transfer that knowledge in geothermal technologies?
Yes, thank you very much. And now I will be brief because I've taken much time in both sessions. But the best thing is to start already to send students to Iceland for 6 months training. And even we have training for MS, Master of Science students and PhD to PhD degree, if that is found necessary. And then with these persons, they take part in the first program, but they will also be the backbone of a future training center here in Kazakhstan when relevant installations have been made where we can give hands-on training because that's necessary for this. So I think we have a future there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Разрешите предоставить слово для
Let me give the floor to conclude this session to Gulbakhar Akimna to announce Gulbakhar Stazilna, a PhD at the National Engineering Academy. Good afternoon to everyone, all participants. Today we have had a very interesting session. We speak about a very relevant topic, which is interesting not only for the society, but for the whole humankind. So I would like to thank all our speakers, and any event should conclude with specific recommendations. So everything that was said today and all the speeches of our speakers, we have made some conclusions. The panel session participants, we would like to highlight the following. The scientific achievements affect the cultural formations and the public attitudes to environment. At the same time, the education is the basis not only for environmental literacy, but for the moral attitudes toward the environment. And the dissemination of knowledge will form the basis for the joint and combined actions, and the development of green economy is not possible without quality reforms in the educational and training system. In this context, looking at the situation in Kazakhstan, we should note the need to reform the existing system, and this is only possible with the joint cooperation between the agencies and institutions, different specialists in the educational sectors, and modification in new areas. And this should take into account the new trends in the field of green technology, and the education system of Kazakhstan will be more focused on the environmentalization. Overall, the educational platform Kazakhstan in the field of specialization for environment and green technology needs following change. Consider and start modernization of educational process based on the international experience and CIS OECD countries. And I would like to note that just yesterday we had a workshop and UNDP partners have given these numbers. One modernized green workplace may help to save a lot of energy resources, and our educational process should be updated to prepare the relevant specialists for the green economy, and only then we'll be able to achieve and address all the goals that we have set for ourselves. Modernization of Kazakhstan education process should be based on the UNESCO roadmap adopted in 2014, and the education system should take into account all the up-to-date documents and the Paris agreements as part of the UN framework on the climate change. We need to introduce the following courses, like green technology for sustainable development, starting and analysis the existing technologies. We need new professions for the green economy, and we need to provide more scholarship. As part of the Green Bridge project, we need to establish a green bridge as part of the IGTIC, and we need to speed up the interaction and cooperation between different public agencies based on using the best available technologies. Concluding my speech, I would like to say that we have a dual task, not only to protect the environment, but also protect decent jobs and give the opportunity to take part in the decision making. And forming the competences in is only possible with the application of the relevant training and retraining programs. And I call to all participants, if you have any ideas and proposals, you may share them. So I would like to thank all the participants.